Hello and welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we look for value in the markets when there's fear and are cautious when there's greed. In today's video, we are going to be taking a look at some of the top altcoins available on Coinbase. And so let's get into it. Let's start off with fear and greed. And as you can see, crypto is still high up in greed, a little bit detached from the rest of the stock market, which has been in fear for a week or so. But we are seeing lower highs and lower lows in the greed and fear index. Zooming out, you can see kind of looks somewhat similar to what happened in March as we hit new peaks. We did go sideways for about half a year. And so I am curious, are we in another one of these little peaks that we just made at around 102K, kind of like the mid-cycle top the last two times? Or can crypto stay high up in greed for a few months? And if so, if you remember 2021, that's when we had alt season and Bitcoin went from about 20,000, breaking its former all-time high from 2017, all the way to around 65,000. So that's why that matters. As far as the current correction going on right now, so far it's only been around a 15% correction. And just something to keep in mind is each cycle, there are a lot of these corrections, about half a dozen or so before the very peak, before alt season, if and hopefully that does happen again. So 2017, there was a lot of these 30 to 40% corrections. I don't know why they don't have it charted here, but last cycle there was a lot of 20 to 30% corrections. In this cycle, there's been a lot of 20-ish% corrections. So even if this price action does correct a little bit more, me personally, not financial advice for you, am going to be buying these dips, hoping and waiting for alt season to come later on this year. Of course, as we wait for alt season, keep this chart in the back of your mind. It's just Bitcoin dominance. Something to remember is when we have that rotation from the amount of money that's in Bitcoin go rotate into altcoins. It happens the last two cycles. It took place over the course of a month. It happens very quick, and you might see amazing gains from those alts if you chose the right one. As far as the alt season index, you can see another higher low. It's starting to tick back up. So might alts be ready to have a turnaround sometime soon? We will see. Of course, subscribe if you want to hear my thoughts on the crypto cycle. I talk about the cyclical nature of Bitcoin crypto, and I take a look at more of the macro price action and indicators as far as where I'm looking for the top of Bitcoin and crypto. I also do videos on Bitcoin mining stocks as well. So let's get into, I was just talking about stocks in my last video. Let's get into Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, you can see it was in this channel, broke under, but it has found support at the 50-day moving average. There are a couple things that do concern me. We'll go through a couple of the indicators here. And maybe I just have that one turned off. No, I have it on. Never mind. So I have on these weekly buy-sell signals. And just something to note, when we take a look as far as the last year or so with Bitcoin, when we have these sell signals and these red candles, we can average anywhere from 2 to about 5 weeks. So is this correction getting close to being done and being finished? Maybe, we'll see. But if it does stay red for another week or so and stays around this price, in my opinion, that might be a signal telling us that we are getting close to a bottom. A couple other indicators you can take a look at to back this up is the stochastic RSI. I like to take a look at that on the weekly, and as you can see, stochastic RSI on the weekly stayed pretty low here because it was oversold. Here it's overbought, and hopefully you want to see the stochastics stay up higher. It can just dip down up here and stay down higher, but if it does start to roll over, then I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit more of a correction for Bitcoin. And another indicator we can take a look at as far as if we are getting lower, this is the MACD, the moving average convergence divergence, is what's going to happen when this finishes bottoming out. Again, it might do one of these things, sort of a double hill move, or if it does start to go negative, you can see like we had after the mid-cycle top, then we might just go sideways for half a year, give or take. So just a couple things to keep in the back of your mind as far as how much of a dip you truly believe this is, that's up to you. But do know that if this dip is to be significant, if we are to just go sideways down a little bit for a few months or so, that there are some indicators saying do be careful, and we are a little bit overextended. However, that does happen with Bitcoin. All right, let's get into Ethereum. We're going to talk about all the different altcoins, and let's turn on our buy sell signals. So far, you can see that Ethereum did have this sell signal play out, but where's it finding support? Right here at the 618. So Ethereum is in this massive wedge pattern, as you can see, and the 618 is right here. So if Ethereum starts to turn bullish, then maybe we can see Ethereum not only start to break above this 4,000 barrier at the 786, but maybe finally we can see Ethereum start to break up. And the reason why that's important before we get into other cryptos here, and that's the Ethereum Bitcoin pair. This is the shadow or the inverse of the Bitcoin dominance chart. Remember what I was talking about with seeing that rotation from Bitcoin into altcoins. When Ethereum Bitcoin starts to rip up after it bottoms, then we know alt season is coming. So last cycle, it took quite a long time, but it had a lot longer, a lot larger of an area to cover. This time around, because dominance doesn't have to drop from as high as a point, and we are not as dipped, at least as far as right now, as Ethereum against Bitcoin was last time around, it might only need half the strength as far as right now to move up to those ratio targets I'm looking for. So this time around, maybe alt season is going to take half as long. Here you can see by the time we had alt season, we had about a 300% move over the course of 600 days. So the thought in my head is, why not have half that percent of move, 300 days, for around 150%. So half the percent of move, half the strength. And if we see something like this happen, that would fit in with the 4-year cycle. So I know the timing of this last cycle was a lot longer, but because Ethereum against Bitcoin pair isn't as deep or devalued, I think that alt season, it might jump up quick at us, at least more so than it did last cycle. All right, next let's go to what was the next one on the chart? We'll go over to XRP, and I'll try to run through these a little bit quicker as far as the technical analysis goes. So XRP, you can see here that it is coming down to its former all-time high. If we take our fibs that we did draw high to low and we take it off log, you can see XRP got about to its 1618 there at about $3, got almost to there, but it is coming down to its former all-time high here, at least last cycle, around $2. Yes, the cycle before it was a lot higher, but as far as its top in 2021, I am curious to see if it has a good bounce there. As far as looking at the daily, you can see that bounce has already happened twice, and it got a little bit higher. And so you want to see, if you like XRP, this recent downtrend, you want to see it start to break above this trend line, and then it can get back to challenging that 1618 fib again at around $3. And if it's going to get to the 2618, I would say, in my opinion, this would be a topping area for XRP. As far as what I'd look for is around this 463 area. The 3618 would be at around $6.30. Seems crazy, but I would be looking more towards just a shade under $5, give or take. All right, let's get into the next one. And our next crypto to take a look at is, let's take a look at Solana. So Solana has not been doing as well as in XRP and other altcoins have been concerned. It did. All right, we talked about this last time we talked about Solana, how the 200-day moving average was right at the upper end of this channel it was in, and I was wondering what kind of bounce we would see off there. So Solana, a possible deep value area here when it was at $176, and can it get back to its former all-time high? It did. It got a little bit of a rejection, but is it getting ready to challenge that again at around 260? Something else we talked about is the Solana Bitcoin pair, And when I took a look at this, I just looked horizontally. I said, you know what? It's underneath. Well, of course it's underneath its daily moving average, but it got to the 100-week moving average, and that's like the last area horizontal price wise for support. So a lot of people are hating on Solana. I was thinking, you know what? Might be a possible good area for a turnaround. We'll see if I eat those words. But as far as how Solana is doing right now, looks like it might be getting ready to have a decent bounce up. I would be curious. I'm not going to do as deep analysis on the rest of the altcoins in this video just to try to preserve the length of it. But you can see the stochastic RSI is getting close to bottoming out. However, even though it's crossing into the oversold area, sometimes that marks the bottoms. Okay. Other times it can go a little bit deeper. So Solana might be some decent value here for your dollars. All right, let's get into the next one and let's take a look at Dogecoin and see how Doge is doing. All right, Doge got up to the 786 right there around 42 cents, came down, had a good bounce at the 618, and is coming back up again. So Solana. So for Doge, not doing so bad. And when we zoom in on the daily, you can see there that fib, this 618, man, it sniped and it came back up. So there's a couple ways I look at dollar cost averaging it. One of the reasons I draw fibs is you can set a buy order for any of these fib targets, and you can take a look at these fibs and say, you know what? I don't know if we're going to have confirmation to the upside when this happens or if it's just going to rip through this fib, but I might set a buy order at this level, and you can see a lot of people did, and man, did it get bought up. So if Doge can get above this 50-day moving average, you would expect it to start challenging that 786 price at around 42 cents again. But if it does start to challenge that fib again, you can see there's the 200-day moving average and the 0.5 fib at around 19 cents. Not saying it's going to get there, but if Doge comes back down to this level, I would start worrying about that just a little bit more. The 200-day moving average right now is at around 23 cents, and there is some horizontal price action support at around 22 cents. So that'd be like the deep value that I'd be looking for if Doge was to get there. All right, next let's take a look at Cardano and AVAX. And as far as Cardano goes, this one's by market cap. I don't want a market cap. I want to see one of these charts. There we go. So Cardano came off the 0.5, had a nice daily buy signal. As far as the weekly goes, you can see weekly, it is settling in at that 0.5. So some possible good value here. I'd say when I look at charts and I see this is, at least by moving average and fib-wise, the beginning of where I would consider dollar cost averaging in if Cardano is something I like. But again, it might get down lower to one of these moving averages. And so when we take a look at these moves, when they started, and we draw a fib up this way, you can see got right down to the 0.5. So these moving averages would be really deep down there at around the 786. So 0.5 retracement, don't hate it. And if you like Cardano, I'd say not a bad area to consider getting in. But if you like it here, then you need to love it here. Just something to consider. Next, we're going to take a look at AVAX. Start flying through these a little bit quicker. So AVAX coming down to the 0.5 fib. Does have all this weekly moving average support down here. Curious where the daily is. And there you go. So after it hit the 0.5 fib, excuse me, you can see that it's bouncing around between the 100 and the 50-day moving average, the 20-day moving averages as well. So AVAX is again ready to finally bounce off this 0.5. If it keeps getting rejected and gets underneath, then take a look at the 200-day moving average at around 34. And if it got really bearish, then you're looking down here around 25 to 30 bucks at a much deeper value for AVAX. All right, next let's go over to, we'll take a look at Chainlink. And all right, Link. So it's somewhat holding on to this 618 fib as well as the 50-day moving average. Do like that recent candle, but if we've had one of these before, and if it is to continue down, I'd be taking a look at this 100-day moving average around the $18 area, and look at that, the 0.5 and the 200 at around 16. If Link did get down there, that would be, in my opinion, a can't miss dollar cost average area. Again, not that it can't go lower, and I don't know if it's going to go lower. You can see we have the 382 and with the lower end of this trend line all the way down there. So that'd be if altcoins got super bearish. But if it is to start falling down, you can see some price action there. Moving average there at around 1842 down to 16. So this range right here would be, I think, good dollar cost average range for a Link if that is an altcoin you like. Next, let's take a look at SHIB. We haven't talked about SHIB in a while and see how that one's doing. So SHIB holding on to the 0.5. You can see that 200-day moving average, it did get sniped a little bit. But if it's not able to hold on to the 0.5 and fall further down, this area between, how many zeros is that? Four zeros, 1579. I'd say this whole area from, well, I'll just say in between these fibs is good deep value area. When we zoom back in time and look at SHIB, you will also notice that we are getting some higher lows here and some lower highs. So we do have a little bit of a wedge formation going on here with SHIB. And if we take a look at it through that perspective, then you might feel a little bit better about buying at these prices. And that if it does get lower, and isn't this funny? Sometimes I look at these wicks and I say, okay, why is it stopped there? And if we line up these bottoms, these higher lows, got right to it. And that was bought there as well. So it's an important reason why we draw on trend lines. So right here, if you believe in this wedge formation, we are closer to the bottom of it and this 0.5. So not the worst area to dollar cost averaging on SHIB, but sometimes these trend lines do break. And if it does get down to the 4 zeros and a 2, I'd say that area on lower is your deeper value area for Shiba Inu. And let's go to Stellar Lumens, XLM. There's like a million different charts for this one. All right, Stellar Lumens had this huge move up. My God, how much of a percent of a move was that? About 500%. Okay, and now it's settled in. It's at around 300%. So I wouldn't chase this one. Looks a little too rich for my blood as far as right now. But you can see how that 618 fib got sniped. That's the area I'd be willing to be patient for if it gets back down there. And guys, there's a lot of altcoins out there. So if it doesn't get out there, then you can take a look at some of your other favorite altcoins or Bitcoin mining stocks to see if there's good deep value there. So if it does get back down to around this 31.5 cent area, that's what I'd look for. But you can see it did get underneath this 50-day moving average. It is having a nice move up, but what's going to happen here at the 786? And again, if you love Stellar Lumens, which I haven't heard anyone say that in years, but if you do, this would be the area where I'd start looking to possibly get in some more. Next, let's go over to SUI. We'll do a couple more. I'll do SUI, Pepe, and NEAR. Let's finish with that. All right, SUI. And if there's any altcoins that you like on Coinbase or Robinhood that you'd like for me to talk about in a future video, please comment below. So as far as SUI, you can see how I drew this fib from the high to the low, and it got up to the 2618, and it's come back down. Now, as far as the moving average, it loves this 50-day moving average. So, and you can see how the wick came right down to there, and it was just sniped off of there. So it does have a buy signal. We'll see how much that holds. There are some recent lower highs. So if it comes back down to the 50-day moving average at around 387, 388, I would not be surprised to see some buy orders for SUI at that level. But otherwise, if it got down lower, you can see horizontally, there has been some support at the 1618, and we have the 100-day moving average there too, at around 321. So if you were willing to be more patient, I'd say that's the start of some decent or better value. Here, I think if you're buying at the 50-day moving average, you really love and believe in SUI. But if you're willing to be patient, not chase, this would be an area I'd look for personally at around 323. All right, and then we're going to finish with Pepe and NEAR. Pepe now available on Coinbase and Robinhood, which is crazy. So Pepe, I know I have it. I've charted Pepe before. Maybe it just, there we go. So Pepe, at least with this chart, we drew from the low to the high. And I was waiting to see if it is going to have a correction down to this 236 at around 40s, 11.5. But if we were to chart this a little differently, sometimes I just look at how a chart's reacting and get an idea. So here you can see, at least on the daily, I bet the weekly would show this better. When we draw from the recent high to low, it got up to its 1618, had a little bit of a correction off the 20 moving average and the 786, and then has come back up a little bit. I'm looking for where we might find some deeper value for Pepe. So you can see there's this 50-week moving average. If Pepe were to get very bearish and anywhere near that 50-week, that'd be a good area. And that's kind of around where the 200-day moving average is as well. So Pepe, would I be buying it right here? Me personally, no. It is a meme coin. It's a meme frog. And so Pepe and Bonk are two of those meme coins this cycle that I would expect to do very well, kind of like how Doge and Shiba did last cycle. Just my opinion. So if you believe in the meme culture, I'd watch out for Pepe and Bonk. But if I'm looking for deeper value, you can see how people are sniping it here off the 100-day. I'd wait in between the range of the 100-day to the 200-day. And the 100-day right now around 40s and 1676. And the 200-day around 40s, 1375. So if it starts to get in this range, I wouldn't hate dollar cost averaging in over there. Last one, let's finish off with NEAR Protocol. I know there's some NEAR Protocol fans out there. And this chart, all right, you can see we drew our fib from the high to the low. And as far as for NEAR, it did come down pretty close to the 0.5. It's challenging some of these moving averages as resistance, but if it isn't able to get through those into the 618 at around $6.37, then you would expect it to have somewhat of a bounce down here around the 0.5. Now you can see there were some snipe buyers at the fib last time, and it did break down and through it. But I'd say the 0.5 looks to me like decent value for dollar cost averaging for NEAR Protocol. So just something to keep an eye on. Anyways, hope you all enjoyed this video. If there are any altcoins available on Coinbase or Robinhood, type those below. I'd love to do some technical analysis for any of those alts. And because I know there's hundreds of altcoins available on Coinbase that we could look at. I just wanted to take a look at a number of the more popular, higher market cap ones. But there are many altcoins on Coinbase and Robinhood. So anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. I will do my best to do a live stream tomorrow where we can talk about all things crypto and alt season and look for some good deals and discounts out there. So have a wonderful day. Take care.